Hey everyone, welcome to the Camp Tech Podcast, where summer camp meets the future of technology. I'm Mike Greenstein, along with Matt Kaufman, and each episode we're going to explore how AI, technology, innovation are helping camps run smoother, keeping campers safer, and sparking amazing creativity without ever replacing the magic of camp itself. From smart tools to what may seem like far off futuristic ideas, we're diving into ways camp tech and tradition can play side by side every single day. So grab your sunscreen and your hat and, of course, your curiosity, because it's time for camp upgraded. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. It is the Camp Tech Podcast, our kickoff episode. So very, very excited to be here with Matt Kaufman. And we're going to talk a little bit about Notebook LM from Google today. So very, very excited to get into that. But I'm going to kick it back over to Matt as we really want to ask the question and answer the question today. Why is this technology, specifically AI, not just important, but necessary to learn, especially for year-round camp staff and really all of our staff, especially those working in the office or the back end?
Yeah, Mike, that's a great question, and I know that we both work here at Camp Ramacoy. You're our transportation director, and I'm one of the directors of the camp, and we've been talking a whole lot for the past, 2 years about how we need to learn as much as possible about AI. And you've been doing some amazing work learning about all these crazy new tools, and I've also been very interested in it. And I think we were just talking, and we were thinking that this podcast is something that camp professionals really need. And I think that for better or for worse, historically in the camp industry, we've been reluctant to embrace new technology, and I think there's a really great reason for that. I think it's because camps work best when we are dealing with tradition, dealing with rituals. And for over 100 years, the camp industry has been this amazing place where kids learn and grow. And sometimes technology is viewed as an opposing force to that. But I think AI is a little bit different. I think the best analogy we have is likely the dot-com era, when we went from 1990, where nobody had heard of the World Wide Web, to 2008, where everybody had an iPhone. And those 18 years really changed everything, and paved the way for social media, paved the way for the app marketplace. And I think AI is going to be much more disruptive than that. And it's going to change the way that all of us do all of our work. And I, for one, am very nervous that if I don't learn enough about it, that I may be passed by. And perhaps I'm a little scared about that. So I've been learning as much as I can so that I don't fall into that trap. So I think it's great that we're here on this podcast together and talking about all these new tools, and hopefully we can encourage some people to learn some new things.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Matt, ChatGPT is approaching its 3-year anniversary. So as much as we feel that AI is kind of new, it really isn't. And most of us know ChatGPT, but there are so many other applications out there. So let's get right into it, and let's kick it off with Google Notebook LM, if we are ready. All right. So those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, we're going to explain through. We also have a video cast, so you can jump over on YouTube and look us up there at the Camp Tech Podcast and take a look at it. But we're going to get into it right now. So those of you watching online and on YouTube, you can take a look at really the Notebook LM home screen here. So here is the Notebook LM screen here. This is what you're going to get as soon as you get on there. It says understand everything, and it is true. We're going to try to understand everything. So we're going to click on try Notebook LM to get started. I already did that there. So we're going to switch right over to the other page here. Bear with me one second. And Really, the important thing about Notebook LM to understand is that you can really take anything, any bits of information, and you can move that over um, into Notebook LM and really be able to create just about anything. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that as we get to the next page here, which is going to show you, as soon as you click on Try Notebook LM, it's going to bring you to a page which gives you the ability to upload information. So I already uploaded the information here, and what it is a document I was working on for a request for proposal. Many times in the camp industry, we're in a situation where we're working with non-camp vendors, and we might want to request for quotation or proposal, and we're in an unfortunate situation where there is that barrier to understanding what we do at camp to an audience that may not be or may not be familiar at all with how camp operates. So to solve that issue, what we did here is we created that just in a regular Google file or a Google document, created that, and we can integrate that directly in. So those of you watching on the screen here, you click on Add Sources, which is in the top left, and you can add that source. So we ended up adding here our Project 2026 GPS edition, which is something that we're looking for, a request for quotation about for a GPS system for our buses. All right, so in the right side over here, we can create a video, we can create an audio, a mind map, flashcards, or even a quiz based on that information. But you don't just have to add a single source. You can add dozens of sources, not just from your Google Documents, but also from the web. So we're going to dive in a little bit over here. Again, to the right side of the screen, we just click on this little pencil icon. For those listening, it is on the top right, and it'll give you options. You can do an explainer video, which is going to give you a full 6 to 8 minute video, or you can do a brief video, which is going to give you a 2 to 3 minute version of that same information. If you scroll down, it'll say choose visual style. You can do a different visual style, whether it's a whiteboard style, an anime style, a papercraft style, just to be able to change that up visually. And then at the very bottom, it asks, what should the AI host focus on? So we're going to put in here that we want to focus on a request for proposal, and we hit generate there. So we already generated it earlier, and it says at the bottom right there, click on that. And for those following on the audio, you click on the bottom right there, and it'll bring up your video. And here we have our full 6-minute video. We can share that video and be able to send it over to to any of our vendors, and they can be able to take a look and see exactly what we're thinking. So it's not just going to be a situation where we're explaining it to them or giving them a black and white version on paper. We can actually do a video component to help them really understand what we are looking for. And that's been really, really helpful for us. And at first I thought it was a little crazy, Matt, that we were sending these things out. But what we saw is a much better return on our end and a lot more time saved for our vendors to understand exactly what we are looking for in a video format. We all understand that some people are better at reading and understanding, but a lot of people are visual learners and audio learners, and it's really going to help them understand. And we can use the same application for maybe an administrative meeting, for our off-season staff, our in-season staff meetings, and we can create a video to explain a meeting that we had or all the points. So I'm going to kick it back over to you, Matt, because I know you have a lot of other things that you've been using Notebook for, but that's kind of just a tutorial how to go through it and a brief overview.
Yeah, Mike, when you found this tool and you showed it to me and you sent me that video, and I thought you had spent 4 days putting together an 8-minute video so that we can share it with our potential vendors, and it was just amazing. We sent it to those vendors and they had amazing feedback about it. And one of the things that I thought was really great about Notebook LM was that in the center of that page that you showed a little bit earlier, there's a chat. and you can ask Notebook questions about whatever documents you've uploaded to it. So if you start to add more and more documents, you have a larger project, you can actually ask questions. So let's say that in this scenario, we had our transportation project for a piece of software that we were looking into purchasing, and we wanted to figure something out about something we had put in there. We don't have to go through all of the documents and all of the screenshots that we added manually. We can simply type in the question to that chat. It becomes your own little chat GPT, but only about the documents that you upload. And Mike, when you showed this to me, my head started spinning because I thought of about 100 potential use cases for something like this. And the one that I want to share, which might be applicable to all different kinds of camps, whether you're a day camp, resident camp, for-profit, not-for-profit, everybody hires staff and everybody interviews staff. And I know for us, ever since COVID, we've been doing our staff interviews almost exclusively through Google Meet. And for us, Google Meet gives us a transcript of that interview at the end. Now, for our international staff, we hire at Ramacoy, we hire about 40 international staff. We interview probably over 100 people to get to that number. And it becomes hard to remember everybody, right? Like everyone who does interviews knows that sometimes these things blur together. So what we do is after every single interview for our international staff, we simply upload that Google generated transcript into Notebook LM. And Notebook LM keeps track of all of these interviews for us, and we can ask questions such as which of our staff members expressed an interest in working with children under the age of 6, or which of the staff members that we interviewed live closest to each other. So it can identify possible roommates. We can say which of these staff members are potential lifeguards for us, which are potential dance instructors. And then as we go through the year, what we'll actually do going forward is if we decide not to hire somebody, we will actually remove that transcript from the Notebook LM project. So ultimately, we'll get to a point where only our hired international staff are in this particular project, and we can even create a report such as, give me one fun fact about each international staff member. And then what I might do is potentially put that onto a little document to send out to the international staff so that they know something about each other before they come here. And it's very easy to put together where these staff are from and where they're working at camp. But putting a little fun fact in there is really going to, I think, make it a little more personalized, a little more genuine for our staff. So that's one of the ways I'm using Notebook LM. And I think anyone, if you just take a couple of minutes to think about it, you could probably come up with a dozen use cases for your camp. So that's a great tool. I'm glad we started with Notebook LM. And Mike, what are you thinking? What are you thinking next on this podcast here? It's our first time, so we're figuring it out as we go along.
We have so much to cover and so many important things to cover. I think one thing that I'm going to end with before I kick it back to you, Matt, is that this technology is moving so quickly. We are on the verge, I think any minute now, as we're sitting here in November 18th, 2025, that any minute now, Gemini 3 is about to launch, maybe any second, right? So we are in a situation where the third generation of AI, and AI is unfolding in 5 different generations. We are currently in generation 2. Generation 3 is on the verge, which is going to be a game changer again. Those of you listening, it's so important to understand, do not get overwhelmed with the technology. We're going to learn together, one piece of technology at a time, and you do not need to know 20, 30 pieces of technology. If you have 3 to 5 good pieces of technology in AI that you can learn and stay on top of as they grow, you're going to be in really, really good shape. But if you decide that this is not for you in any way, you're going to look back in a year or two and be really far behind. So keep up with everything, and we're entering a third generation of AI, which is going to be just a massive game changer.
Yeah, and I'd like to piggyback on that. You know, I think, Mike, you and I are both of a generation where we lived through the .com boom, bust, and then it was just part of our life. And I can clearly remember talking to people who were saying, well, we're not going to spend all this money on a website. Who needs a website? We're in the phone book, right? And I really want to encourage people not to become one of those types of people. This AI stuff is confusing, and I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody really understands how it works. There are people that can explain it to you in words that make sense, but nobody really understands what's happening. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling confused, that's normal. I am too. So is Mike. So is everybody out there. We're all, as Mike said, we're all going to learn this together. And what I'd love for everybody to do is keep joining us on this podcast. We're going to release episodes as often as we possibly can. And we just like you to come along for this journey, on this journey with us, and we'll try new things together. And all I'd like to say is until next time, keep on trying new things.
Like, subscribe, and give us that 5-star review. Thank you, Matt, and thank you all for listening, and we will see you very, very soon.
Later. Bye, everybody.
Just being who we are.